Hey, what's happening, everybody? Thanks for tuning into the show. We are your hosts, Chase and Myles, and we are at the Lucky Duck.
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 At the Russell Duck.
Oh, cool.
Oh, God.
Nice.
Myles, who do we have on today?
You guys all know him. He's been on the podcast 4 times now, technically. The first was by himself. The second or third was when he had his little cameo.
Yep.
And then the time he tried to replace me as co-host.
Yep, that
And
happened.
now, if you don't remember, Russell lives in Atlanta, Georgia. He is an economist who...
Sorry, somebody's talking about
Okay,
me.
can we...
He
can
threw
we
up in his
redo
mouth.
Yeah, he's very smart. He's our good friend. We've known him since high school, long time
Yes.
now. And this is Russell.
Welcome back.
Hey, nice to be back. Excited.
Yep.
Cool.
What new life experiences do you have to share now?
Let's see, new life experiences. So I think since the last time I had a real episode, I actually was able to start a band. So that's been something really fun to do. Being in isolation, aka the lockdown from the pandemic. Got really back into music, and me and some of my friends, and we started to get together to play some original stuff or just some covers, and then we said, well, why don't we go ahead and get like a rental space and do some practicing and make this a thing, and it's going really well. So we actually have our first gig coming up on May 22nd.
Where at? So people can go?
It's at the Tin Roof Cantina in around Brookhaven, Georgia, kind of right outside of Atlanta.
So if you guys are in the area, you know where to be.
Yep, we'll be playing at 5 p.m. Come out, listen to us. Name of the band is Separate Checks. You can also check us out on Instagram and Facebook. Actually, Chase here was nice enough to do a lot of the artwork for us, so go in there, give us a like. It's going to put our name out there as well as some of Chase's work.
Yeah, we had to get the plugs in early on.
Yeah, I didn't want to do it at the end because I didn't want to forget.
How many people are actually listening at this at this show?
I'm going to have 40 people show up, and they're going to be like, dude, I heard you on the Lucky Duck podcast.
Dude, you're going to get off the plane, and they're going to be like, Russell?
Yeah.
Is that you? Are you Russell from At the Lucky Duck?
I'm just picturing a bunch of European tourists. Being like, oh my god, oh my.
Yeah, what you guys don't know is a majority of our audience is actually based in Sweden.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah, Russell.
Well, it makes
Iceland.
sense, Well, not Sweden, but is it Sweden or Switzerland where Spotify is based out of? I know it's
One of those with the S's for sure.
yeah.
The S
I know that
countries.
this podcast runs on Spotify, so
Yeah.
it's all coming together.
It's probably Sweden. I think they have more tech there, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, Sweden sounds right, but
Yeah.
you also have a laptop.
Could be
in front of
Switzerland
you.
too. Nah.
Why find out the truth? It's all arbitrary.
I wonder if Sweden has their own vaccine. If there's any vaccines that for COVID.
That's something
come
I
out.
was always really curious about is because luckily we have a pretty diverse workforce at my job, and so we have some people from China, we have some people from Korea, and we also have a couple people from Russia. And I was talking to my Russian buddy, and he lived here most of his life, but I was asking what's the Russian vaccine like? And he's like, I have no idea. And so I was just like, wait, is there one? He's like, I don't know. And so I thought it was really interesting that even they don't know. It's just Pfizer, Moderna, and all of that
I heard
stuff.
Pfizer is developing a pill that you take when you get COVID to fight COVID. It's like a vaccine in a pill form, and it uses in vitro technology, which
Really?
is kind of controversial, and a lot of people say it doesn't work and blah blah blah. But
Are there any
they're going
side
through
effects,
testing right now.
Any different side effects that would be from the
I don't know.
vaccine?
I gotta imagine if because it would work differently, right? You would take it when you have COVID.
Yeah, right at the
Oh.
beginning.
Yeah. So we wouldn't take it to give you a little bit of a immune boost, like a little mini vaccine. It's quite. I think it's to take after you find out you're positive for COVID.
Yeah. The Pfizer CEO, I think he said that by the end of this year, into 22, it was when it would come out if everything goes okay with testing.
Do they have something like that for the flu, where you take
Tamiflu.
Tamiflu. That's it.
That is true. Yeah, I totally forgot about
Yeah.
Tamiflu.
Tamiflu.
You take 10 pills, and you're supposed to start taking it as soon as you get it, and then the flu should only be like a day or two for you, and then you keep taking it just to make sure it.
The thing is, I never know if I have the flu, right? I don't know. I very rarely know anybody who's like, "Oh, I have the flu."
Yeah.
It's just like I have a really bad cold.
Yeah, you're like,
who goes and gets tested to be like, "I have the flu"?
Yeah,
like
for
nobody
sure.
does that.
A lot of kids, because their parents are like, worried about them, so they'll have the snipples, they'll take them in.
or older people.
Oh, I have great parents. They take me to the doctor.
Yeah. Sorry, I should
Must be nice to be able to go to the
Fucking
doctor.
white people.
Yeah, god damn it.
By the way,
If you're Hispanic or if you're Indian, it's just like we're gonna rub Vicks vapor rub all over your body and then put you in a
Gargle.
dark, heated room and just wait.
Your magic remedy is the apple cider vinegar.
I love apple cider vinegar.
Yeah.
Anytime I feel like I'm getting a tickle in my throat or I feel like a cold or the flu is coming on, I will get some Bragg's apple cider vinegar. Make sure you get Bragg's. Plug that. I'm sponsored by Bragg's. Because that has like the actual mother in it. And so you pour that half and half of some water, gargle that like 3 times a day. I swear by it. You're never going to have a sore throat again in your life.
what is the mother?
The mother is like the main yeast like matrix and stuff that like produces all of like the probiotics and stuff like that in a fermentation. Like when you're doing like kombucha and stuff, like you have like a mother like base yeast or like a starter yeast like you get when you're brewing beer and stuff like that. Like that's like the concept of like the mother.
Okay, so if you're getting something without that, then it's pretty much shit.
Well, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's shit necessarily.
It's not as good.
But it's like, having it in there is like nice because it's like constantly living. It's like a living organism in a way, So you're getting all of those cool probiotics and all of those other benefits out of it.
I just remember in college, Russell would be like anybody would get sick and he'd be like, "Well, have you tried apple cider vinegar?"
Yeah.
Like somebody would be like, "Dude, I couldn't get it up last night." He's like, "Apple cider vinegar."
Apple cider vinegar, if your erection lasts for more than 4 hours.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Then you shouldn't have taken my advice. By the way,
I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
our producer just called in. He said that Spotify is a Swedish company.
Oh.
However, it's incorporated in Luxembourg,
Oh.
which is fucking weird.
That's Kentucky, right?
Yeah, Lexington.
Oh, wait, no.
No, it's that
Luxembourg?
tiny country in Europe.
Oh,
Yeah.
fuck. I feel like an idiot.
I was like, France?
Luxembourg.
The Kentucky
Wait, is that
Derby was
actually
this weekend.
is that actually a country, Luxembourg?
Yeah, I think it's this, like the smallest. Well, besides the Vatican, but
Weird names. I was driving up from Colorado Springs and I saw there was a gas station called Gas and Grass. It's the first time I've ever seen where it was you could get gas and weed
Oh, okay.
at the same place. So it was called Grass and Gas.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Interesting. I wonder if there's, the third option in there somewhere.
Yes.
No.
Prostitution.
No.
Oh.
No.
Oh. Huh?
What?
I don't know.
Gas, grass, and ass.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Just saying. I'm gonna open up right next door.
Or open a store called Ass right next to it, and it's just a sex shop that only sells anal beads.
Yeah.
And then you can just
anal
have.
play stuff.
Or you could just partner with Come and Go.
Ooh.
But
That's the
they don't
sister
spell
location.
it like that. They spell it like COME,
Yeah,
right?
they spell the acceptable
No, it's
way.
like KUM.
Yeah.
I think.
No way.
Yeah. Isn't it?
KUM. Yeah, come and go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
I,
It's a thing. I think they're based
There
here,
you go.
maybe. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Are they actually based here? I've never seen one of these places in my life.
They're all over the place
They're
here.
in Midwest.
Yeah.
Based
Okay.
in Des Moines.
Des Moines. Wow.
Ah,
Miles spent
Kentucky.
some time yeah, Georgia.
That's the first place I saw it.
Oh,
I
in Des
lived
Moines.
I lived in Des Moines for 3 months. Random fact. That's the first place I saw it, and I was like, "Where am I?"
How old is that company? I'm just wondering.
Yeah,
Because back then you said stuff, and
1959.
it doesn't have the same intention or meaning anymore.
What exactly does
Or
come
as did it?
and come and go mean? You know?
Pretty sure I know what it means.
I'm just like really into this conversation between y'all right now.
It's supposed to be COME, and they were like, let's be funny and be KUM. I don't know.
Come and Go was sued in 2004 by an Omaha man claiming racial discrimination after being denied access to the public restroom. So they're racist.
Okay, I guess we'll talk about racism.
Yeah, God damn it. And here
This is the part of the podcast where you kind of just do the small talk, and then one thing clicks, and then you start talking about that topic.
Exactly. We actually had this plan
So
the whole
why,
time.
as white people, why are you racist? Let's start there.
Oh gosh,
I've fallen into this
I can't
trap.
say any.
I flipped the switch. I'm like, welcome to my podcast.
Yeah.
I'm interviewing
Hello.
racists.
Interviewing racists.
That would be a good
Yeah.
podcast. Just interview racist people.
Yeah.
I'm
No,
sure
it's Fox
there
News.
is.
Sorry.
Yeah. Oh snap! Shots fired.
Racist people interviewing racist people.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me think. The last time you were on, Russell, you were about to go skiing.
Yeah, I was
How
about to go
did that
skiing.
go?
Oh shit.
It was fucking terrible. Like I mean, so you have the French fry pizza thing,
Yeah.
and I was like, I eat a lot of food. I got this down. I'm very used to that. So I'm getting on the mountain. We paid for like a lesson, and it was like an all day lesson. So you had like a morning, then you had a break, and then you had another lesson. And we went in the morning, and we get on the mountain, and we're doing like the bunny hill, and I felt like I'm getting it. And one thing I didn't realize until like 15 minutes into it or so, maybe half an hour, it's such slight movements in your feet. It doesn't take like you have to move your whole body or even your whole foot. It's just like, just flex one part of your toe. And then it's like, yeah, you're turning right now at like a perfect right ankle. So after I kind of had that click, I was like, okay, I didn't really have too many problems falling or like crossing the skis. But when we did finally go up the lift and do one of those like green trails, coming down, there was this really hard slope and then just kind of like a drop off right afterwards. And I was just picking up speed. And I thought, this is how I die. And I was like, okay, I can do one of two things. I can try and do the pizza break thing, or I can just throw my entire body weight into the ground and see what I can do. And so I picked the latter because I was not good at breaking. So I just hit the ground. And then the guy's like, oh, okay, you fell, no big deal. And I'm sitting there like, I just saved my own life. You're making this sound like it wasn't a big deal. And so by this point, everybody had gotten ahead of me. And this is where it got a little fucked up. The guy, I'm starting to get some cramps, like, because, I'm not used to using those muscles, like those flexor muscles or whatever. And the instructor's like, hey, man, you see that hill right there? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, that's the only thing standing between you and lunch. And I was like, what? Like, is that a fat joke? I don't really understand what's going on here. And he was just like, fucking, it was like a, I don't know, like basic training, like having one of those guys just lead you down the mountain. But so that wasn't a great experience.
Damn. Would you do it again?
Oh, I would definitely do it again. I think I would do snowboarding though, because skiing is, I felt like it was a good starter thing to do, to kind of get a sense of the snow and the slickness and things like that. But like the crossing of it is just like so scary.
Yeah,
to
the
me.
coordination of your feet in the direction your skis and stuff.
Yeah, like I don't like to be so cognizant of that all the time. It's a little difficult for me because I naturally just don't have great balance.
Yeah. Shout out to Jordan, who was on 2 episodes ago from this point, and he tore his ACL. We did the podcast. The next day we went skiing.
We did the podcast, but we were talking about his students that come back with like torn ACL or injuries because of winter sports. They'll go skiing with their families or whatever.
Yeah.
And then we're like, yeah, cool. Let's go skiing now.
The next day we like send it down the mountain. He sent it a little too hard over the edge.
Whoa.
And fucked his shit up. Tore his ACL. He just got surgery like last week. So he's on the up and up on the rehab.
See, this is why I don't advocate for sports, because
Yeah.
that's like the one thing I hear all the time is people are like, my ACL, my ACL.
Yeah.
And like, I didn't even know what that was until like my friend tore it playing football.
Yeah. No, I mean, it really sucked. Like, it sucks for him because that's such a long
Well, I mean, like
healing
that's his
process and
job.
stuff.
Like, fitness is like his whole thing, and like being like a sports, tech on the high school stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I found out that on average every year 11 skiers die from skiing.
Wait, what? Sorry, well, not
Out of all the people in Colorado who go skiing, on average 11 of them die annually.
Does that include the backcountry? Like
I'm curious if that's
I
more
think
or
so.
less than sharks.
It's probably mostly avalanche deaths.
Could be. I know we have had a couple this year.
So this year was on pace to be the deadliest.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
It is. It
Yeah.
is wild that people will deliberately go do that knowing That's the
Usually,
case.
if you
My dad
die,
today-
you did something a little too
Sounds a little
risky
too hard.
that you were like, maybe shouldn't have
Yeah.
been doing.
Yeah. Well,
But-
one thing I did notice about skiing, which is more about the attire, was I grew up in Florida and then I live in Georgia, and you can get kind of cold in Atlanta. We'll get snow every now and then, but the idea of going out to like Wyoming, right, in the Grand Tetons was like, oh, it's going to be ridiculously cold, a cold I've never experienced before. So I have to go and buy like a ski jacket and like, all these thermal shirts and things like that. And I think I overdid it because, man, you're just sopping wet after that. It's just and it's not the snow. It's all your juices, man. So,
It depends on how sunny it is, and it depends.
well, luckily,
on
it was a
how
really beautiful
good
day.
you are.
It was like a nice, fresh, settled powder and everything. And
Oh, that's nice. And you
it
got
was
some good
beautiful stuff.
conditions.
No, it was a beautiful time over
Get
like
that fresh pow pow.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you
Sure. Yes. I don't know what these words mean.
yeah, when you're first starting out, because I just started snowboarding this year, so I know exactly how that feels. You're gonna sweat like so much. Even on the really cold days, you'll sweat so much because you keep, especially if you're snowboarding, because you have to, like, every time you get off the lift, you got to sit down, put your whatever on. Every time you fall, you like sit up and you're just sitting there and trying to get back up. If you get onto like a cat track or something where you can't, like a lot of beginner snowboarders, they won't want to go fast enough to be able to get over a flat area, so you get stuck, and then you're gonna take it off and walk it, and
Shimmy yourself along.
so you're just doing a lot of work with your body. But once you're more actually just like actually snowboarding or skiing, you're sweating a lot less because there's a lot less of that real manual work of getting up and doing this and that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm definitely down to do it again. Definitely snowboarding next time, just because I want to give it a shot. But I feel like I want to look up some exercises or stretches, because just not using those muscles ever, it's kind of like,
oh yeah, were you like burnt the next day?
I was a little sore, but I wasn't like, I couldn't move or anything. It was like cramping a lot during the actual activity, and that's like I don't want to happen again.
I see.
So because I think I would have stayed a lot longer. But
That happens with snowboarding as well, like during, especially starting out when you're like on your thighs a lot more when you're trying to like just kind of make it down the mountain. And then the next day you're super sore as well. But I think once you're getting the technique down more, it's not as bad.
Yeah, you start to have to overexert yourself. I think that's the main thing that comes with like learning technique and practice and repetition and all that. I snowboarded more this season than I ever had before, and I definitely experienced that. I remember the first day on the season, I was just like dying. I was like, I'm so exhausted, my wrists hurt, I'm sweating. By the end of the season, like most of that was gone.
You go down once and you're like, should we go now? Or like lunch break?
Yeah.
Right, guys?
Yeah, I need water break, bro. Electrolytes.
But snowboarding's fun.
Yeah, I mean it's worth it. It's worth it.
But you gotta put time in to learn, I think. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Medium barrier
someone
to entry too.
if someone was gonna come out here and they're like, hey, I'm just gonna come for a day, I want to go snowboarding or skiing or something, I would probably just say go like snowmobiling or dog sledding or something. 'Cause you're not really gonna have fun just going one day, right? Like, I mean, it was probably fun, but
yeah, I mean, it was a good experience. I think, I don't know. For me, it's like, you live out on the East Coast and you see all these big snow sports. Like the best thing that we can go to is like North Carolina or something, and it's like it's nothing compared out there, right? Like it's those aren't mountains. The things out west, those are mountains. And there was just such an initial capital investment that you had to put in. It's just like, oh, you got to get the right shoes, the right snow pants, all of these things, and it's like, Jesus Christ, and then I got to spend the money to get out there,
and the lift ticket
and
lesson.
The lift tech. I mean, luckily we had a friend's family member who like kind of worked there and like gave us a really, really good deal. So we got lucky. But for most people, that's not necessarily the case. And so I think the biggest problem is like, well, if they made it like more accessible, like money wise, like you see a lot more people do it. But
it's tough because it costs a lot to run those places, especially out here. And so a lot of them, like I know this year we're hurting pretty bad.
Yeah.
And then when there's not a lot of snow, then they don't get enough people out there, and then they take a loss for the season, and then they hope next season's better, and they up the price. And
yeah, some of the places do, like for locals, they'll do where you pay, or you get to just come to the resort. They'll give you like free skis, a free lesson up to a certain amount of times that season, or you just pay a small amount to do that for the whole season, and then next season you get some kind of discount, and then after that you just pay for whatever, but it builds more of the community to get into winter sports, so they keep coming back. Like Powderhorn, I think, is one that does that. That's kind of like in West Colorado, which is a kind of a fun idea, but for tourists it doesn't help. Still super expensive to come here.
Yeah, and for like 6 months out of the year that you can do it.
Yeah. And then you just go mountain biking, I think.
Yeah.
When you can't go skiing, I think that's what they use them for, right?
Yeah. I mean, but like I said, all in all, snow sports and all that stuff is really interesting to me. I think the only thing I had done that was even cold related was curling, which was ridiculously fun. Did it for like a work outing.
Nice. Where'd you do that at?
We actually did it in Atlanta, Georgia. They had like a curling club or something, and it was just like this huge ice rink, and they just did it.
Was it just a bunch of European and Canadians?
Well, a lot of Canadians. Well, one of the directors that we work with, he's Canadian, but I think it's his uncle or something was like an Olympic curler, and so like
so he's so into it.
Yeah, he was very, very into it, and like we were all making fun of it, and he was kind of just like, I don't really appreciate everybody's attitude right now.
That's the only way you're ever gonna do curling amateur wise is if you know somebody who's like super into it.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody's like, "Do you want to go curling tomorrow?"
It's not like bowling, you know.
Yeah.
It's like no one wakes up and says, "You know what I want to do? I want to sweep ice."
Yeah,
that's really what I want to do. I want to just. By the way, that's the hardest part. If you think like getting low and like pushing the thing, no, the sweeping. That's so much harder than people like make it look.
It looks hard enough. Like just watching him like. Plus, you're wearing shoes. Is it special shoes that you get?
You do have to get like these little platform things on the bottom, like these like little non-slip like addition things to your shoes. But some people just get particular curling shoes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, because you have to get into like when you're curling, you have to get in this like ridiculously like half squat position. Which once again, just cramping up. My whole lower body is just like this amalgamation of tendons. It doesn't make any sense. So I mean, they probably wouldn't be like that if I stretched like once a year, but still,
I'm the same way probably.
But still, no. So besides that, that was kind of, it was nice to do the skiing and all that stuff. So I'm definitely interested in doing more stuff like that in the future. But in the meantime, I think I'm going to stay on the East Coast for a little while.
Yeah, well, that's okay. I mean, they've got plenty, like you said, you can still do curling all the way in Atlanta, Georgia.
Exactly.
Fun to stay in Atlanta.
But to answer your initial question, no, not a lot of big life updates, Yep. I had a couple kids, but
yeah, fuck them.
I don't really talk to them anymore.
Yeah.
But no, I think the biggest thing is I really have just been putting in a lot of work into, obviously my work, my job.
Yeah.
And the band. The band's been really a big thing. I
think
occupied. Oh, what was that?
Keeping your time occupied.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, that's music has always been a really big thing for me. If not my major passion, and I talked about the gig because I think I was so excited about it because we have been a band for, I would say, almost a year now. Like it's definitely coming up on a year.
You started a band at the perfect time, right at the start of the beginning of the pandemic.
Well, you think that, and let me tell you why that's not necessarily true. Because you're racist. No, I'm just kidding. Back to that full circle. What's up? No, it was because all of these breweries, because we came up to the conclusion they're like, okay, let's meet up, let's do a bunch of covers. You're doing late 90s, early 2000s stuff. Like we talked about playing some Blink 182, playing some Maroon 5, a lot of that top 40 stuff. Oh, sorry, it's kombucha.
The booch.
Yeah, the booch. And so we were like, oh, well, you want to learn those covers because the first thing that you can do as a band is like start gigging, and you get a lot of these, what's a big thing in a big city is like a lot of breweries, a lot of like bar and restaurants and stuff. And so that's a big, cash cow for bands. And so with that intention, we went in and we learned about, 2.5 hours worth of music, because anytime you ever go to any venue, and I'm sure you know this, is that they want about 3 hours if you're going to be like a cover band set, if they want you to just play jamming for like an hour, sometimes they'll do that. But standard process is like at a brewery, 3 hours. So if you have about 2.5 hours of music, you get 2 15-minute breaks. Boom, there's your 3 hour set. And so we spent all this time putting that together. Sorry. And getting all that together and kind of foregoing the original music, right? Because we're like, there's no way that they're going to want that. Who cares? That's down the road. And we were going through all of these, rigmaroles, trying to get all the practice space and getting schedules lined up, because everybody in the band has a full-time job. But we finally got it done. We had all that music put together, and now the pandemic is starting to slow down due to the vaccines. And so we started calling a lot of venues, a lot of breweries, a lot of restaurants, and they started turning us away. We were confused as to why, because I would go and I would see bands play there like a weekend ago or something. And I ended up going to a brewery and talking to one of the tap room floor managers there, and came across some interesting information about it, because apparently when you are a venue, right, you have to buy certain copyright license insurance and stuff. Because those cover songs, someone's got to get paid for those, right? It's not like it's intellectual property. It's not in the public domain. You can't just play them. Yeah. And so pretty much all the rights to every modern song that you've ever heard of belongs to pretty much two. There's three really, but there's two major music licensing companies. ASCAP, which is a great name.
Yeah, right.
It's ASCAP. And then BMI. I don't know why they pick these names, but they do. So you might have, like, let's say all of Maroon 5's catalog under BMI, and then maybe all of Blink-182's under ASCAP or something. So a venue, like a bar or a restaurant, will buy, based off, they'll kind of get quotes. It's almost like car insurance in a way, where they'll call these companies and say, hey, I'm going to have live music from time to time. And they usually have to get ASCAP and BMI. Sometimes they'll get the third license from the other company, which I can't remember off the top of my head. And it can be exorbitant. I mean, I think for the brewery I was talking to, which had a relatively large tap room, but nothing crazy, I think it was like $4,000 for the year just for one of them, just for ASCAP. Mm-hmm. And if for some reason, a band comes in and plays, or they have like a DJ come play a song that wasn't on ASCAP, but was on BMI, and they don't have BMI, it's like kind of like, oh, I didn't have that type of coverage on my insurance. Yeah. And so they have to get sued. I think there was a story, I don't know if we could look it up, but it was some bar in Tampa, Florida was, like, I don't know if there's another Tampa, but a bar in Tampa, Florida would do some kind of event where they would play Pour Some Sugar on Me, like all the time. And then eventually somebody reported them for that. And I think they got hit with like a ridiculously large suit. It was like something like $1.5-2 million in like copyright infringement damages, stuff like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and it's because the logic behind it is like you're making money off of this music, because if you have people coming in to see a live band, you're getting foot traffic because of that, and then you're making money. So, and that's why it's not necessarily on the band. You would think it would have to be on the band.
Yeah.
It's very rare that I see anyone do that, because most bands are like mine. It's like you are an original band, you do original music, and then you play covers to like, pay the bills and do stuff like that. But sometimes there are tribute bands, like you might see like a Kiss or like an Aerosmith, tribute band, and they will personally get their own rights so they can play them. However, 99.9% of the time, and I'm not a lawyer, so check this with a grain of salt. This is just my own research and what I've been told, is that the venue is pretty much mostly responsible. So like it's kind of like this combination thing where it's like if the band has it and the venue doesn't, well, the venue can still get fucked.
I thought it was like if you that was in effect for playing the original content, not like a remix or a cover of it. That's
we aren't creative enough to do our own versions of the content.
So they sound very similar. Yeah.
Yeah. So like you can get, I mean, it is the same thing. So it's like if you play, like you can't just go on Spotify. Like that's why you might have seen, if you go online right now, you can find something called Pandora for Businesses, and it's actually pre-licensed out music that's like through stations, and then you can play it in your place.
That's why
and it's
they
like
play the same 10 songs.
Oh, it is. It's like that's why anytime you go to like a retail store and stuff like that, it's very rare that they're actually paying for the licensing fees. They're just probably getting one of those prepackaged kind of Pandora deals.
So these places were denying you because
they weren't.
What?
So they were saying, well, we're still kind of feeling it out. We're not quite sure what the prognosis is going to be for the pandemic. We don't know when that's going to really end. They're giving the runaround. But then I got some straight answers, and some people said, we don't know if we're going to renew our licenses, because part of that reason is because we don't know how the pandemic's going to play out, and we think that it might be longer than it is, and so why renew our license if we're probably not going to have live music for a little longer?
Yeah.
So they want to save a buck, and some breweries have kind of shifted the dynamic from, well, we don't care so much about foot traffic in our tap room. We care a lot more about distribution. It's getting them into like your local Publix or Sprouts or your local grocery store or something like that. So distribution has become a bigger thing. And this is obviously mainly for breweries. Like that's kind of our bread and butter out there in Atlanta, is playing those places.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if you came to them with 3 hours of original content, if they were going to
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Because what blows my mind and makes me fucking infuriated is that I've had people come up to me and they're like, oh, well, we don't really want to turn you away because we do want live music, but we don't really want to pay for our licensing anymore. So maybe you could just do 3 hours of original music. And I'm like, when have you ever been to any concert where a band has played 3 hours of their own music? I don't know even if you could go to like an AC/DC tour or something and hear them play for more than an hour and a half.
I've heard Green Day's done it. And I heard Dave Matthews is famous for doing 3 hour sets.
That's okay. Well,
and not Phil
better.
Collins.
yeah, I was like, fuck me. All right, bye. See you later.
No,
Asshole.
but you don't. That's their point is well taken. Like there are superstars that like are true entertainers that will purposely do like a 3 hour set. Especially if they're in a spot where they won't do like several nights, type of thing. And so you want to do the entire catalog. But normally you go to a show, it's about an hour. The headliner might do 90 minutes.
Exactly. And
2 hours if you're lucky.
It blows my mind that they want you to play for 3 hours. And so what they're hiring now is they're hiring a lot of jam bands and like jazz trios and jazz quartets and stuff like that. So they can just kind of play background music, which is kind of what they're going for. They don't want to overflow their tap room with, distracting music. The last thing they want to do is distracting. I think one of my biggest pet peeves is when you want to hire live music and you have somebody keep coming up to you to like turn it down. I think there's this YouTuber that I saw not too long ago where it was like him on an upright bass and a buddy playing guitar. That was it. They weren't doing any like vocals. It was just background music. And you had this Karen-esque manager walking around the restaurant being like, hey, can you keep it down? And like it was just like a video of just like counting how many times she asked them to turn it down. And eventually he just like turned it all the way down where like they could only hear their own monitors.
Yeah.
And she was like, nice.
Nice. Good. It's like, why did you have me here?
Exactly. It's like, why would you hire live music if you don't want the live music? Which is why, like, you have outdoor patios and stuff like that, which is like the best thing. If you can find an outdoor brewery or a restaurant that has that, it's like an open air. Not only is that great, obviously, for the pandemic, but it's great because it's hard to really bother people unless you are blasting music.
Yeah, right.
So,
I wonder if you changed the lyrics to some of their cover songs, if you'd be like...
Yeah, we play Stacy's mom, so maybe we can just call it like...
Karen's mom.
Karen's mom. I do not want... if I know anything about Karen's, I definitely don't want to meet her mom.
You're going to suggest this when you get back to Atlanta to do your band. They're like, that's what Weird Al does. We're not about that. We're not Weird Al.
And then we get sued because we are considered a Weird Al tribute band and we don't have the BMI licensing.
That's kind of funny. I always wondered how that kind of thing works because I know like in movies and television and hard media like that, you do have to buy the license to use sounds, music.
Oh yeah, everything's
things like
copyrighted.
that. But I've always wondered about, so like if I'm watching like Yellow Card, or let's say just say Blink 182 is touring and they do a cover of Roseanne from the Police. Do they have to like buy?
That's kind of that's the same thing. It's like they
use?
have to if they're going to make money off of it, and like in any sense, right? Because it could be like it's part of my tour, maybe not. I maybe didn't record it or something and like distribute it on an album. But if I'm going to put it in my set, it's like, well, maybe some people want to come see you, because of that song or something. It's like, so it's like you're getting some revenue attributed to that song.
Which I think you should. If you are...
I think that's fair. I think that's completely fair. I don't have a problem with the licensing. I just think that it's kind of funny how so many places now are just like really considering not doing it. It like makes me think, it's like, man, I wonder if that's like either an overinflated price of that, or is it that people are just, as always, kind of underestimating the need for the arts and, live music and stuff like that.
What about TikTok? If you're doing a cover, single guitar, vocal, does a cover of Don't Stop Believin'.
So yeah, I post a few covers on my Instagram, and it's technically illegal. I could get hit with a DMCA, right? You see those all the time. But it's, so legally speaking, yes, there could be legal action to be taken. They can send you a cease and desist, DMCA, all that stuff. But the likelihood of that happening is pretty low. Like, and part of it is because, maybe it's like the kid with cancer who's singing the Eminem song,
Case by case.
It's like, as ASCAP or BMI, do we want the publicity of striking down the cancer kid's video? No, we wouldn't want to do that. And it's, think about it, like when we used to, I mean, not we, but those that used to download music via LimeWire and such.
None of us ever did that.
Yeah, no, of course not. None of us.
Don't look into my history of that, please. Because, one interesting example is Landslide or Dreams by, it was Dreams by, what's that band? One with pull that up.
Dreams is a song?
Yeah.
Fleetwood Mac?
Yeah.
That song made a massive comeback on the charts because it circulated around TikTok.
Yeah.
Because of a guy posting a video of him, chugging cranberry juice while he was on a longboard or whatever. And so I'm wondering, like, there's some like benefits to allowing people to use your music license free to almost like organically market it.
Yeah, I think
that's actually a really good point. I haven't really thought about the kind of guerrilla marketing aspect of social media. I mean, it's there, right? I mean, that's the one thing that you really hope for. I mean, I had a friend, her, Hannah, we just, you guys talked about her earlier, is that she was showing me this song by an artist called Rin Weaver. It's called like Pierre or something, and it's like really popular on TikTok. And I was like, I know this song. I listened to this like 5 years ago. And it's just like, he's like, yeah, it's blowing up on TikTok again. And I'm just like, that is crazy. Like, I like it because I'm like, that's cool. You can like revitalize songs, because I think a big problem with music is like, you have almost an oversaturation of it. And it's just like, there's just like a song that stays on the charts and then it goes away. There's no like, there's very few songs that I feel like have had like the longevity of, you think of songs like, Brown Eyed Girl, like Van Morrison, like that's stuck around, for, several decades now, but like I'm on a Boat isn't going to necessarily make it to the 2050s. Maybe. I don't know. It is a classic though. It is a classic.
We'll see. We sang that yesterday at one of those karaoke, like
made it to the
venues.
2020s.
Yeah.
We crushed it, ladies and gentlemen.
What about on YouTube? I think if you don't monetize your channel, you can use music unlicensed, right?
I don't know. I'm not sure about that.
There's a lot of YouTubers who do. I don't know how they get around it.
I feel like if you're not monetizing your channel, you still have advertisements in the sidebar, right, that are going to YouTube, like, because YouTube has to make some kind of money, right? I feel like that's something. So Google as a company, probably has to have some kind of DMCA thing against them. They have to be careful. Yeah. So it's not only covering the content creator's ass, but like
because didn't you guys hear that YouTube's planning to add advertisements to every video now?
I did not hear that.
Even if they're not so like even if you don't monetize your own videos, they're planning to add ads to them.
Wow,
that is crazy.
Yeah,
interesting. Well, you're being demonetized because YouTube decides not to add ads on there because the companies who are paying for those ads don't want to be associated with the content of the demonetized channel. So now that sounds so weird. It's like maybe if you're an advertiser or you're YouTube, you give a lower rate for those types of videos to be like, if I'm trying to advertise this podcast and I go to YouTube and like, it's going to be $70 a click or whatever if you're on a monetized channel, or $10 a click if you're on a demonetized channel.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll still not put ads on the content that they don't allow to be like monetized anyway. So if you make money doing something else, you don't want ads in your video. You just
So
gotta,
is it
like,
just
say, fuck.
demonetized channels that have been demonetized on like our end? Like if I had to choose to demonetize this podcast on YouTube.
No, because there's certain, you have to abide by their standards, right? To actually get advertisement. Like I think cursing is one of the things you can't do. Violence,
I'm pretty sure you can curse.
Copyright stuff.
I think you can still curse. No?
to a certain degree.
You can
probably.
choose. I think you have to set it to where you say this video is not for children.
Well, I mean, why
Okay, I
isn't
think
there just like a
then
mature
you-
content
Yeah.
filter?
Yes.
Like you see that all the time on like
Right.
even Reddit. Like you can have that kind of like you can flare your posts and stuff like that. It's
Right.
like it'd be so simple to build in a mature content filter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to put it on music. You see it on you
Yeah.
know
They
albums
do,
all the time.
They do that. They make you sign in, right, to watch it. But then you have a smaller base of users who are probably going to watch your video.
I haven't seen the black and white explicit
you're
label
always
warning
signed
on
in.
music.
What?
Oh, true.
You've never seen
They
that?
not as of recently. No.
On Spotify, they do it.
Spotify?
For
I feel like I
sure.
still
They
see
do?
like you'll see
Yeah.
on the song list it'll say explicit on the right.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
we'll do that.
Maybe I'm just listening to clean music because I'm an upstanding citizen.
You're like, I'm just sitting here listening to the Wiggles
Lord,
and
So
what is
Chase
VeggieTales
sounds
soundtrack.
yummy, bro.
Chase has the parental filter on his Spotify, so you only get the clean versions.
I don't like.
I
to
mean,
hear
why
any
isn't
of
there a
that
parental
trash.
filter
Okay.
on like Google like based accounts for YouTube? You know, like YouTube accounts.
I'm just listening
Yeah.
to Toby Mac and U2. Okay, that's all I listen to.
The big two.
The big two.
Well, YouTube. Fuck.
Yeah, I mean,
Wait, were you saying
don't
you
know.
listen to his band?
no, he
You
doesn't
were
have
like
anything.
Toby Mac and U2?
Toby, U2 the band.
No.
Like Bono.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, The Edge.
But we
with
got
it.
derailed by that. That's great.
God damn it. Let's talk about U2. Let's do it. Fucking
Please, no.
Bono, what are you doing?
no,
Hit me
no,
up.
no, YouTube for me.
You ever met Bono?
No. I missed him at the last Grammys. You know, I was too busy doing cocaine with
John Mayer.
Ed Sheeran.
Keith Urban?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Him
not
too.
that Ed Sheeran does cocaine. I was just doing it myself. He was just hanging out.
Yeah.
You know.
He gave you the cocaine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. He's your hookup.
He just has it on him. He doesn't do
Well,
it.
all gingers sell drugs. That's a fact.
Yeah. That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think a single ginger here is going. No, I don't disagree with that.
That's why they don't have any souls.
Yeah.
Remember
I
that
mean,
thing?
What?
Gingers have no souls.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
that a,
Who
was
was
that
it?
a Cartman thing?
I don't know if it's just South Park. Is
I
it?
mean, I don't know
Yeah.
if it was
Somebody
it
else makes
originated from South Park. It might have. I mean, I felt like it was so part of like middle school. We would say that all the time. You know?
yeah, true. That was so bad.
Yeah, that's
We
true.
should,
yeah,
you
it
guys
was-
should not say that.
No.
We should
just gave an
never
example
make fun of
that,
any
so
group of people.
It's wrong.
Except-
Unless you're a comedian.
Well, yeah. Unless you're a comedian, then that rule is the opposite. You should make fun of every group of people
Yeah.
possible, within some level of tactfulness. In my
Unless you
opinion.
specialize in a certain group of people, right?
Unless you specialize in a certain group of people. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, you shouldn't have like a set of people that you're really good at making fun of.
yeah.
Unless it's like racists and Nazis. Like that's
true.
fine,
That's true.
You know,
Anyone
Yeah.
who's done
because those
evil
aren't really
acts.
people. You know,
No,
Right.
they have no souls.
they have no souls.
So
that is correct.
So comedians who have writers for them have to have a diverse group of writers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's necessarily bad. I mean, I've heard some people be like, "Ugh, you know, I don't know why they have to keep pushing like this diversity thing, like just hire good writers that are funny. And I'm like, yeah, but you know, you keep putting people in a box, you're not going to see things from different perspectives.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like the whole thing, like, you know, oh, women aren't funny. It's like, no, dude, all people can be funny. It doesn't really matter, but you're not going to ever see things from a woman's point of view if you don't have one in the writing room.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah, that's true. You have to acknowledge your bias, or if there is one.
yeah, because I mean, like, I could be hiring a lot of funny white guys, you know, but or like funny white straight guys, but you know, that's just going to be the same types of jokes. You know, they might be varied to some degree, but like, because you know, everybody has a different story to tell, and they all see their life through their own lens. But like, you're going to get a much bigger variance in lenses if you just have people from different backgrounds and upbringings and all these different things.
You ever thought about doing stand-up comedy?
You're
a pretty funny guy.
I mean, I have thought about it before. I think that the biggest problem with me is that there's a couple problems. Well, let's go through all of my problems really quick.
This is turned into therapy.
Yeah, therapy session.
So do you want to?
Can I lay on that couch over there?
It all started back with my dad.
My mom met my dad. My life is pretty shitty. So, no, I think the biggest problem for comedy for me is that, one, material is not easy to write. Like, to actually put together real, like, strung out stories. Because I think that's the best type of comedy. Like, everybody loves one-liners, but, like, you have, like, Jimmy Carr, who had, like, a whole set of, like, one-liners before, That's fine. You can do that from time to time, but, like, you can't have too many comedians like that. It gets really stale to have that stylistically, in my opinion. So you need people that kind of weave these story elements together and have, like, an overarching conversation. Like, one of my favorite people to talk about for that is Mike Birbiglia. Mm-hmm. I think that he, especially in, I think it was like My Girlfriend's Boyfriend, was probably one of the best stories he's had. And if you watch some of his previous stand-ups, he had been working on that craft for a while. He had more of a traditional approach to comedy. But this kind of storytelling element, I think, is great. And I think Dave Chappelle does a pretty good job at that, too.
Yeah.
He's pretty good at kind of weaving together a narrative, not necessarily telling you a story, though, which I think is really, really
like
cool.
A thematic.
At least the last two specials that he's had
are
a lot like that.
Definitely, for sure. And so I think that in that sense, that would be the type of comedy I would want to write. And it's almost as like writing a screenplay or writing a novel. It's like it's no different. It's actually, in my opinion, harder because you have to find something that's going to have visceral gut reactions from people to make them laugh. Unless you're really going for witty kind of think about it comedy. But
that's my favorite kind of comedian, one who does that. That's why I like Dave Chappelle a lot.
Oh yeah, the storytelling thing.
Yeah.
Okay,
The interesting part of that though is they didn't start that way. Like when you start, and especially nowadays when you start comedy, it's like you get 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Open mic.
No, when you
all
start
you
comedy,
get.
if you go to the Chuckle Bucket down the street or something, and you end up getting some time, or you go to an open mic night, you're getting 5 minutes tops.
Is that a place?
Yeah, the Chuckle Bucket.
That was a good one.
I feel like that has got to be. Look up the Chuckle Bucket. I bet you money that there is a place called the Chuckle Bucket.
Oh man, see, look, you would be good at stand up.
But I think that's a hard part for me because I am really bad at wanting to sit down and actually put together material. I think I'm funny in a situational sense. Like I'm quick-witted. I can make a joke here and there, but when it actually sits down to like put together something, I've just never put it. Is there a place called the Chuckle Bucket?
Actually, it's on Urban Dictionary. It says it's used to describe the area between the base of one's nutsack and their asshole.
That is the Chuckle Bucket. Okay.
So the taint, essentially.
Yeah, but I like the Chuckle Bucket.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Oh wait, that's from Family Guy.
Oh, the Chuckle Bucket?
Yeah.
Oh, well, damn. See, and that's another thing. I'm not really original. So everything's a remix for me.
Yeah.
So
that's okay.
But I think the other thing, besides like the difficulty of putting together material and all of that, the stage fright thing is not a thing for me. I play in bands and, I do like lead vocals in a band now.
Yeah,
and
which is new for me. Like before, you were pretty shy about that.
I was super shy about it. But like, I think it was because I had thought of singing as like, man, I don't know if I'm good or not. And I don't want someone to tell me that I'm not good because then it takes away the fun of singing like privately. Like when I'm just singing by myself. Because I'm like, oh, well, I know I'm bad now, and now I don't feel like it's worth doing.
Yeah.
Which is not a good way to think. Like, you should do art, no matter what anybody says. Like, always pursue it. But so that's something I had to work through, and now I'm doing it, and I'm having a good time. And luckily, I'm okay. I'm decent enough to get through it. But that's not the problem, right? It's like I'm doing all those things, and I've had experience on stages. I think my thing is that it is kind of a free-form thing. It's not as structured as a musical set or something, and so you have to deal with hecklers, and that's a big fear for me. Is because I just talked about being quick-witted, but under pressure, how is that going to work? I think one of my favorite things about some of my comedians, especially someone like Bo Burnham, is their kind of quick-wittedness to deal with a heckler, and they kind of just expertly do it. You have Bo Burnham who does it really, really well, and then you have people like Kramer who don't. So
yeah. Yeah. Hey, type in Bo Burnham. I want to know when his next. He has a new special.
I don't think they said when yet.
Really?
I think.
He just announced
Yeah,
who he's doing
I
it
think-
with. Yeah.
But I'm excited. Bo Burnham is
Yeah.
a god among men, in my opinion.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate his style of comedy, and how he brings
yeah.
music into it. I think
I
that's
think
really
his style
creative.
of comedy being like musical comedy is
Yeah.
like a dying thing, and not in a good way. Like, I mean, like, it should come back. I love
Yeah,
it.
you know who does that a lot? Bob Saget.
Bob Saget,
brings, like, a
he
guitar
does.
every time. Yeah.
He had some fun stuff that I thought was hilarious, but it's just potty humor most of the time, and that's funny. There's a place for all types of comedy. I feel like.
Yeah.
This idea of high art and low art though is so arbitrary and almost too posh and pretentious for me to ever get into.
Totally. I mean, art has such a broad meaning, creatively. Anybody's. I mean, you could say this is art. This can. So
Yeah, the labeling.
art is it's quite the thing.
Yeah,
It's quite the
definitely.
thing.
But yeah, and I mean, yeah, with Bo Burnham though, I mean, like that music comedy. I mean, him and if anybody is interested, look up Tim Minchin. He's a great Australian, I believe, musical comedian. He used to do tons of musical acts. He's also a really, really talented musician in and of itself. He actually wrote the music, and I think wrote the entirety of Matilda, the musical, not the movie that we all grew up watching. But he made a musical of Matilda that was on Broadway, and it was fantastic.
Oh shit!
So he's got
Broadway.
some really great stuff. So if you love Bo Burnham and you like that kind of wittiness, I would highly recommend someone like Tim Minchin. But yeah, if I was gonna do comedy, I would love to do musical comedy. I think that would be great. It'd be a good merging of two of my favorite things. If the only thing I think I would make it better if I could just play video games on stage, and then
Well, you can do that just through Twitch.
Yeah, and that's nothing else I'm looking into.
Yeah.
When you're into living at home by yourself all the time and pandemic, I was like, well, let me get into streaming. And so I made a Twitch account and got OBS Studio on my computer and all that stuff.
What's your Twitch handle?
Oh, it's something stupid like Russ03, like very basic.
Hit him up.
Yeah, I think the only thing I ever play is Fall Guys.
Yeah. If it's not Russ03, try 2, try 1, try
Yeah.
4.
Go
keep
through
keep
all the
going.
numbers.
Yeah, just keep going on up. You'll find me eventually. Actually, it might be Russ92.
So eventually they'll find you.
Yeah.
By the way, Bo Burnham's special is called Inside, and he filmed it by himself with nobody else, not a
Wow.
crew, not an audience, and it comes out soon.
I'm so pumped for that.
Wow. On where?
On Netflix.
Netflix.
Netflix. I thought it was on HBO.
That's what I
Interesting.
thought. I may have given you false information. I
Yeah,
apologize.
thank you.
That's okay.
He has most of his specials are on Netflix, so I guess that would
Yeah.
make sense.
Yeah,
But
that is
so
true.
did he get popular because of his style, playing music with comedy, or
Well,
has
you
that
know,
been
I don't know
kind
if
of,
he got-
yeah.
I think that
His
has to be
YouTube
part of it.
page.
I mean, like, yeah, he had like that whole YouTube thing where he like did music, and that's kind of why he got popular. But like, I also want to say he got popular because his content was really good. Like, it's
course,
like
yeah.
It's
But
it's
there's
been
a-
good from the start.
But there's
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
there's a lot of people with good content, and he kind of did it different, right? And stood out.
I'm too much of a fanboy for you to ask this question. I'm gonna be like, no, fuck you.
He has no outside
him.
perspective
I don't give a
whatsoever.
shit.
Yeah.
So
Why would
He's
I
a
say
god.
anything?
yeah, but no, I agree. I could agree with that. Saying
Yeah.
that, like, yeah, his medium of talent, and that's the whole point. It's like you got to find new mediums of how to do the same things. Like comedy is always growing. And
Yeah.
I think what you could make jokes about today. I'm sorry, a year ago or 2 years ago, you definitely couldn't make jokes about today. I mean, think about like the jokes. I mean, we were just upstairs watching the movie Waiting, and there's a scene in it with Dane Cook.
Yeah.
And I think one of the waiters asked, and Dane Cook's like a line cook. And oh wow, it's funny there. I see what they did there. And so I fucking hate myself. And unrelated, but
You like hate the movie now? Like, okay, fuck this movie. I'm done. Moving on.
a waiter like asks him for a steak, and he starts doing this like caricature of like a slave, being like, "Oh yeah, master, thank you." And you can see one of the other line cooks like hitting him with like a towel, and I'm like, me and a couple friends were upstairs watching it, and we were like, "Oh my god, like, that is totally not okay by today's standards." And so I just think it's ridiculous how, not ridiculous. I think it's really cool how comedy evolves to be at that, and that's like one of the biggest arguments, which I think is a superficial argument too. I think it's a pretty simple one, but nonetheless, what is okay to joke about? Like, it's either everything is okay to joke about or nothing is. Like, I think Carlos Mencia said that one time, and people were like, "Oh my god, that's so mind-boggling."
Oh my god, you're crazy.
Yeah. And I was like, "No, that's not how that works. Like, there is a middle ground. Like, I feel like, you can make jokes about cancer. Like, you can do that. But like, I'm not gonna go to a cancer retreat or something. Not that those exist. I don't know what that would be, but like a cancer seminar or something, and like have jokes about it. You know, there's
know your audience.
Know your audience. Be tactful, and that's another thing too. Is like there is almost a case by case basis by the joke. Like, is the joke tasteful? You know, I have a very strong opinion of saying you can pretty much say whatever you want as long as it's funny. If you can make it funny, you can get away with just about anything.
If the intention of you saying that is to make somebody laugh, then I think you're in the clear.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we talked about Bo Burnham, but I think it's another good example. I think in his last special, Make Happy, he said something that was just flagrantly racist or sexist or something. But it was so racist and so ridiculous. Like, it was almost obnoxiously so. Right? And, he even says so. He's like, obviously, I don't mean that. Because it's racism in light of itself. Right? It's just like, it's so insanely stupid that I would say that. Like, no one would ever say that.
The bigger issue is, like, in the instance of the movie Waiting, do we remove that from Netflix because of the joke?
Once again, I think that's a case-by-case basis. Like, I don't think that, like, if we're talking about, like, the Dr. Seuss thing that was recently where they got rid of that, that's not good, because that's a very racist stereotype that's not helping anything. I think that it's probably a distasteful net neutral thing to like that joke that we were talking about. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'd love to hear other opinions, but I don't think that is as detrimental, and I think it's a case by case thing. Once again, comes down with intent. I don't know if the intent was to demean the idea of slavery. Is it doing that by making that joke? Kind of, like kind of make belittling it in a way, but you have to always keep in mind the intent, like you talked about. And so I think that no, you don't censor that, but some things you do, and I'm never going to be one of those people who are like, I have this strong opinion on. I'm a terrible podcast guest to have, because I will be like, yes, sure, fuck it, middle of the road, I don't care.
No, I mean, I think you're playing it right in saying that. I mean, it's a question that nobody, I think, has the right answer for yet. Maybe down
that's
the
my
road.
biggest problem. I think on my last podcast at the very end, we started talking about like cancel culture, and I hate it. I hate the idea of cancel culture so much. I mean, like, do some people need to be canceled? Sure. Like, some people are shitty, and like we should stop giving them the time of day. But like, I have said terrible things, like that would not be okay by today's standards. But intent-wise, it was wrong. I'm sorry, intent-wise, it was not meant to be that way. It wasn't malicious by any way. But people could take it out of context and all that stuff. And I think that, that's a pretty basic answer. Most people give that spiel that I just gave. But I stand by that. I think that it doesn't make any sense. And I think it's become less of a problem in the last year. Like, I don't think, I mean, that's my opinion. I don't think that, that you have too many SJWs coming around.
Yeah. I think 1918 was the years of publicly canceling a lot of people. Maybe it was because of just it was like enough is enough. And so the very not so secret disgusting people of the world got outed, and then now it's like, okay, everybody's on notice. Like, if you're an asshole, then you're gonna get called out for being an asshole.
And it's so weird to me, because like people forget about kind of like big things, like what is that comedian, like Chris D'Elia?
Oh, Chris D'Elia.
Yeah. Oh, D'Elia. Yeah. I'm sorry, I got his name wrong. I don't give a shit. Fuck that guy. But there was like those whole like, was it child pornography or something?
No. He was like talking and having inappropriate supposedly. What has been said is he was having inappropriate conversations with younger girls.
And so, which is hilarious if you've seen, not hilarious, but I mean, let me finish the sentence before you guys
Sorry, God damn it.
It's almost, surreal that he played a character in that show. Was it You? In the second season.
Oh, I haven't
he
seen
played a character kind of like himself. He was a comedian, kind of famous dude. And he ended up being like, he would, rape young girls, like underage
shit.
women.
Yeah.
And it was like fucking surreal because it was like a few months after that season came out, and everyone's like, he's a really funny comedian. Obviously, he would never do that. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So sometimes life is stranger than fiction. But
Yeah, there's a famous video of him on another podcast, and they're talking about how Snapchat, like, the images that you post don't actually go away and you can screenshot them.
Yeah.
And he was like, really? You could do that? And like this, the look on his face was like, oh, fuck.
Well, yeah, I only bring him up because I think about, I was scrolling through my Netflix queue and I saw you, and that popped into my mind, and I said, well, shit, I wonder what happened with that guy. And like, I went and Googled him. He's like on a podcast, like living up his life. And I'm just like, nobody's fucking complaining about this. No one's losing their shit anymore. No one wants to cancel this guy, but no.
Yeah, I'm totally out of the loop of the situation, so I don't know if any of the accusations were vindicated or
Yeah, I mean, I don't know
or whatever
much either,
happened.
So you're saying save Kevin Spacey?
yeah,
Hashtag
oh my
save
god,
Kevin Spacey?
Kevin Spacey or
oh god, no,
some of
not
the
Kevin
other guys.
Spacey. Like we said, there's like
gross people.
there was a
Yeah.
master class in how to deal with the kind of public fallout that you have on how to do it and how to not do it. And I think the how to do it was someone like Louis C.K. He had that, and then you had Kevin Spacey.
Oh, doing the weirdo
Yeah.
fucking persona.
Yeah, he was playing
videos.
Frank
Yeah,
Underwood,
uh-huh.
and he did his own YouTube video, and he's like, I know you want me back.
Yeah.
I know you want me back
So
on this
weird.
channel.
Narcissist.
He's like cutting up ribs or
Yeah,
some
yeah.
stupid shit like that. Fuck you, you creep.
Wow, that
Yeah.
was so creepy.
Yeah, but
And then
You-
nothing happened after that.
yeah,
Yeah.
nothing occurred. I know.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. But people come out of it. I'm not saying that some people can't come out of negative things
Yeah.
or anything, or people can't get better. And I think that's also another problem too, is that people are so willing to chastise people, and we're supposed to be innocent before proven guilty, but like that's not really the case, with the internet culture these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Everyone has decided that you're guilty of what they think you're guilty of.
Yeah, which has never not been the case. I mean, you think of cases like O.J. Simpson or
Casey Anthony.
Casey Anthony.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
Or Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, Weinstein
name?
or something like that. Yeah, the public is always going to have their opinion, and that's
Yeah.
going to really affect you. It doesn't really matter what the courts say, But I don't know. I mean, and I also hate the other side of the coin, where it's like you got all these people who like overreact to cancel culture.
Yeah.
Who are just like, man, I can't say nothing without getting canceled. And it's like, well, Jimbo, you're fucking yelling racist slurs on Twitter every day.
Yeah, the people like seriously and honestly like complaining about it. Like,
Yeah.
man, why are you complaining about it?
And once again, like I said, I'm middle of the road. Like I get it. I don't like certain aspects of it.
But also then you fall into the whole you getting tripped up because it's like the whole argument where like the NSA is looking through your data or watching you or listening to you. It's
Yeah.
like, well, if you have nothing to hide, then why are you worried about it?
Yeah.
It's like, no.
Yeah.
There's got to be a healthy, and we have to at least be able to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then we can.
I think the whole situation's interesting because when it gets to the point where we have legal repercussions for things we say, that's when the gray line is because of the freedom of speech, right?
Yeah.
But right now, what people are mostly complaining about is what private companies are doing. So like the case of Netflix, should we take off Waiting or whatever the movie is? Depends what the viewers of Netflix wants. If those people are like, I'm going to cancel my subscription, Netflix is like, no, we'll take it off, right?
Trial by the public, man.
But then people are angry at Netflix because they're like, oh, you're censoring content. You have some obligation to the world
You're censoring art.
to
right. Right.
So it's so fuzzy.
Hopefully
Well, we talked about this the other day too, about like taxing cigarettes.
Yeah.
It's like, when you start taxing personal freedoms to do decisions, even though like theoretically, you would think, I mean, there's proof to say that like taxing cigarettes, even though they're a pretty inelastic product, people are going to buy them regardless of the price point. You're going to have very limited changes, marginal changes in quantity demanded over time. But it's going to help. It's going to really help reduce, it's going to add barriers to entry to getting to smoking and things like that. So, I mean, like, if that adds barriers to becoming racist and prejudiced, like if you don't have a lot of racist, prejudiced content or like insensitive content like that, well, then you're not consuming it, and then you don't think those things, and then you don't develop those personality traits, Right. And so I can see the logic, the train of logic there.
Totally.
But the effectiveness of it is debatable. I think fairly so. I kind of lean, like I said, I'm more of the let's do it case by case kind of thing. I don't think that there's really any hardline rule for many things in this world. I feel like, once again, I feel like a shitty guys because I don't have any hard like takes on anything. Hot takes. I need a hot take. The wage gap doesn't exist. How about that? We can start there. I don't believe in the wage gap.
Everyone, please just don't be angry at me. What would you like me to say?
Yeah, give me something controversial to talk about. Well, I think we're gonna cut this a little shorter
definitely.
than usual.
I'm ready for dinner.
Russell has to. He's got to get over to Breckenridge so he can do some snowboarding.
Yeah, I got some snowboarding,
got
and I have a
cork
concert
store.
at the top of the mountain. So,
So tell us again when your band's playing and where.
yes, Separate Checks will be playing at the Tin Roof Cantina on May 22nd of this year. So as long as this podcast gets out in a day or so, this will be useful. If this comes out afterwards, well,
What year is it?
hope you came.
Yeah.
2021.
Yeah.
So
of this
don't
year,
go in
2021.
2022.
Sorry, I keep forgetting.
5
And
p.m.
you can catch Separate Checks on all the social medias.
All Instagram and Facebook. You know, that's pretty much what we have right now at Separate Checks Band. That's the handle.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks, man. Really
All right.
appreciate you being on. Until next time, everybody. Adios.
Bye.